we put these boot camps together for our partners around different areas where Quest is successful, where we've seen partners succeed. And there's a lot of different levers that you can pull as a Quest partner. So again, appreciate you joining us today. One of our keys to success in areas that we've been building on in our 40 plus years of being in business is assessments and workshops and helping organizations kind of understand where they are in the current landscape of things. And there's a lot of different things we're going to go through today from an assessment standpoint. So again, like Paul said, check out the partner portal. All of our previous sessions are recorded and available. If you like these sessions, please share them out with your community. We are trying to build and grow our partnerships and helping kind of evangelize our approach to the market and see if we can align and work together on some opportunities. So, today, as we're going through this, kind of like all of our other boot camps, what are we going to be putting out there? Knowledge you're going to be gaining is how to understand where your client's at and where to place the appropriate assessment. Not every assessment fits where your client is in their current evaluation of technology. So we're going to kind of walk through what are some key areas, where do we plug in, and where's a good place to start. The ability to talk around the different values and what clients are going to get out of each of these assessments, right? So different pain points to address, top areas to focus on, what the benefit, what the output's going to be, kind of the value prop. And then assessments are really going to help you cross into adjacent services that maybe you're not talking about right now. I was at a TSD summit yesterday with a lot of folks in the central part of the United States, and it kept coming up around the idea of not being familiar with certain aspect of the technology stack. Some people were data center operators, some people were telecommunications, some people were UCaaS. But all of those services touch applications, touch cybersecurity, touch collaboration suites, touch physical security. So all of these things are all very, very adjacent to each other. And what assessments do is can help you as a partner. If you've had your traditional swim lane, it can help you diversify. It can help you get into other areas that maybe you're not touching today. So some of the knowledge we're going through, some of the training we've been going through, at the end of this, want you to be able to have a go-to kind of engagement strategy. Again, we have some go-to market capabilities that we would love to share with you as far as positioning these assessments. Want you to understand the different revenue opportunities that are in the market. And then also key is understanding what type of deliverables should you and your customers expect as you're going through the kind of the assessment engagement with Quest, whether that's a tactical or a long-term assessment. So all of these are generated. All of our assessments are typically partner and client originated, right? These are assessments. We didn't necessarily come up with the idea of, hey, this assessment is a good fit for you and your clients. They were typically customer requested and, hey, can you help me out with XYZ? And we put a little bit of a program around it. So why are clients, engaging with Quest and our teams for assessments? A lot of them are from different building blocks. So if you go back to some of our previous boot camps, there was a risk management boot camp. There was a cybersecurity boot camp. There was physical infrastructure. There was, on-call support services. So assessments are really catalyst conversations and catalyst engagements, starting a chain reaction for different service offerings that we have. So some of our security services that we layer in, we don't necessarily know exactly what type of environment we're walking into. So security assessments can help identify potential vulnerabilities within a client's environment. So there are lots of different cybersecurity assessments we're going to go through today that can help identify potential gaps. Compliance is another one. Lots of compliance, CMMC, lots of other things coming down from a risk management and compliance standpoint. A lot of our assessments are built around that risk management platform and understanding, hey, what controls do they need? What framework are we dealing with? How are your clients getting pressure from their customers to secure their data? or from their business associates and their partners. So those are good assessment tools to kind of come in and give them a good snapshot of where they are today. Cost savings is a big one. We have a exciting assessment I'm going to go into detail on a little bit later around optimizing and getting the most out of a technology environment, and the most out of their licensing subscriptions and things like that. That also kind of drops into that operational efficiency, and improve performance. So assessments are really going to help your clients understand where they currently are, whether it's in cybersecurity, risk management, their current software and hardware and licensing expenditures, as well as just some of the blocking and tackling around, hey, how are they securing their environment right now? How are they managing it? Do they have good visibility of their data? Do they know who has access to their applications? A lot of clients move in and out of visibility and knowing what they have and where it is. The main objective of an assessment engagement with Quest is to help the customer understand what they have in place today and what are some potential areas of improvement. And then what are the costs associated with taking steps to improve their environment. It's not necessarily always a speeds and fees conversation. So helping to take the significant amount of data that these assessments will create, and then summarizing that into an executive summary. It is the last little bullet point here as far as number 10, why clients are engaging with assessments. They need to have advanced information summarized in a way that can be presented to executive leadership or in a boardroom where everyone just isn't smiling and nodding at the IT person and then, leaning over to their buddy afterwards or their fellow board member and saying, I don't know what the heck that person was talking about, right? So documenting this in an executive summary, providing it in layman's terms as far as this is your risk, this is your potential area of investment, and here's how we can help you. Real quick, because it's really important. We do have a boot camp previously around how Quest evaluates opportunities and how we engage and all those types of things, a little bit about our strategy of engagement. And a lot of our assessment strategy is built around this as well. So there are a couple different types of assessments. There are tactical assessments, there are tuning exercises, and then there's a transformational exercise, okay? The focus of those are going to be around a couple different things. Sometimes it can be very tactical, it can be very business, it can be very operationally focused, or it can be business process focused. They can also, be focused around risk management and the idea of business continuity. And you as trusted advisors and technology advisors and people out there who are managing the relationship, all of our clients are moving through some phase of one of these four areas right now. This kind of goes back to a little bit of Quest strategy and how and why we engage. Every single one of us at some point has been working with a client who is in rapid growth, right? You think about the software as a service vendors a little while ago, the AI companies of today, the organizations that are growing very, very quickly. They're getting a lot of private equity, venture capital, rounds of funding. They're churning and burning. They are running and growing very, very quickly. These types of folks, from a relationship standpoint, they're running. They need help with growth. Even keel folks are organizations that are in a mature business. They know what their budget is for next year. They know what their budget is for this year. They're kind of in that operational state of, hey, I know what I'm spending on my endpoint protection. I know what I'm spending on my firewalls. I know what I'm spending on my backups. Things are going okay right now. Things are operating. We're even keel. We're good. We're doing okay. I bring in experts when I need them. They're at an even keel state. We've all had clients who maybe are a little bit overconfident. Maybe they think, patching's not for me. I don't necessarily need to worry about that. Backups, yeah, they're good. Microsoft AWS and the hyperscalers that I'm working with, they're going to protect my data. Yeah, I know I didn't read my SLA with XYZ company, but I'm sure they got me covered. Maybe a little overconfident. Okay. So all of these they might take action, they might not. You might have a great relationship with them. They might buy from you because they like you, because you're their friend, or because you've done business with them and done a good job with them. That's fantastic. Every single one of these customers, at some point, we have customers, every customer rotates through these different 4 phases. They all end up at some point in some kind of trouble where potentially they need some help. And they know that they need some help. So whether they're a growth customer today, an even keel customer, an overconfident customer, or a customer that's in a little bit of trouble, just got a partner request, about 2 hours before this call. They have a client that has a couple thousand machines that need to get imaged, before the end of the month and deployed at a new headquarters turn up. Their other organization that they were working with just dropped the ball and went away. So they went from a even keel, hey, this project's going great, to the trouble zone in pretty quick. So what we found at Quest is staying in touch and managing and staying in the game with all these different types of customers. And all of our customers are in one of these 4 areas at any given time. And what's also fun is, depending on what service they're in or what service they need, they're in one of these 4, and it could be different. So their security could be even keel or growth, but their physical infrastructure could be in trouble, right? So even their service offerings within every customer is in a different phase of this. So what the hell do you do, excuse the language, to stay in contact and be there when the probability of taking action and moving forward with a purchase when they're in trouble, skyrockets, right? We all want to be that person when something goes wrong. We can be there, got the cape on, we can help. Really what you need to do is make sure, and what great way for them to know you can be there from a risk standpoint is to provide a proactive assessment or a proactive workshop with your clients. And we talked about, on the previous slide here, we talked about the different types of assessments. So we're going to kind of go into the different types here at a high level real quick. Tactical, tuning, and transformational, right? So transformational and business outcome focused assessments that we do. Cybersecurity workshop and assessments, DR recovery, risk management, business continuity, security posture, and business impact. These are all different focused assessments that are really around a transformational business outcome type of a discussion. Cybersecurity is going to cover all things in layered security: endpoint, firewalls, edge, end user, vulnerability assessments. How are they managing their backups? How are they managing their recovery? Cybersecurity is going to encompass all of that layered security: password management, end user connectivity, all of those types of things. It's a tabletop engagement. We walk through what's happening in the industry with the client, and then we walk through what their peers are doing. And then after running a little bit of a proactive vulnerability scan on their environment and coming to the table with some data, we provide some recommendations and executive high-level summary. That is a cybersecurity type workshop. DR is the same type of a thing. We've been doing DR assessments for about 20 years now, thousands of DR recovery workshop assessments. And those are focused specifically around backups, replication, who's responsible for disaster recovery, who's managing it, do they have run books, all of that good stuff. And with these transformational business kind of focused discussions, typically for the first couple hours of the engagement, everything is fine. And then once the client realizes that we're not necessarily there to sell a specific backup solution or a specific endpoint protection solution or a SIM or a firewall or a GRC solution or whatever software that they've been getting pitched, the defense shields start to come down. So very similar to how you as a technology advisor and trusted advisor approach your clients with the idea of You can help with multiple different solutions, multiple different aspects. Quest has a very, very similar approach when we're doing these workshops and these assessments. We don't necessarily lead with a specific brand or a specific outcome in mind. It's a business conversation around what they're trying to achieve and how they're looking to achieve it. And we've done thousands of these workshops over the years. Business continuity along the transformational process is more of a discussion around risk management, how their business is going to operate, how it's going to communicate in a crisis, if they have documented run books and strategies, and who's responsible for what. Have they run through a full DR scenario? Have they done these types of things? So the business continuity is a different angle. It's not necessarily layered security, and it's not necessarily around, the backup strategy or the replication strategy. It's around how is the business going to continue in the event of an emergency, disaster, or ransomware outbreak. The security posture assessment and business impact analysis, those are paid engagements where you're getting into all of it, you're documenting all of it, and you're providing findings, recommendations, and attestations around here's what you have, here's the cost that it's going to cost you if it goes down, and here's the recommendations and areas of improvement that you can take to your auditors or document your findings there. So you got the transformational. Moving across the stack here, you have some tactical ones. So we have tactical things focused on specific service offerings, right? So a tactical assessment would be something like a penetration test, a firewall review, going through a CMMC gap analysis, right? This is a tactical specific issue that a client is dealing with on a specific aspect of their technology. And we do this across every layer of security. We do it across a holistic view of like, hey, what's the probability of you getting ransomware? So ransomware assessment is basically we take the bad guys, the threat actors view. We document what are all the terrible things that could happen to this client in the event, and how are they presenting themselves to the outside world. What that does is it gives them a good idea of their threat landscape and what they're going to be dealing with potentially. But it can be as simple as a vulnerability scan or helping them out with a patching assessment. This one right here, this is not sexy. Patching assessments are not a sexy conversation, but they are a fantastic way to see where your clients are in the management of their IT operations. So very, very tactical, very, very focused. We look at where they are in their patching, in their life cycle of their operating systems, of their edge devices, of their laptops and desktops and end user environments and server infrastructure, all that good stuff. Patching assessments are a fantastic place to start. Very tactical, very focused. These, for the most part, are all paid engagements. They're tactically focused on understanding what that client is doing in that specific area of their technology stack. So other transformative and some of that kind of blend into both areas are in the application world. So as you can kind of see, there's some specific areas where you can focus your attention around specific technologies. Network infrastructure is classic for this as well. This is also tactical. Wireless review, audio visual assessments, physical security assessments, going in there and documenting how people come in and out of a location. What is their current, cabling environment and their current physical infrastructure environment up to par, tone and testing out cables, all of that network stuff. So if you participate in our infrastructure as a service bootcamp, you learned about some of the things we do around physical infrastructure. Well, we do assessments in that building block area too. Right, so we'll go in and we'll do an audit of their camera systems. We'll do an audit of their building and access control systems, of their audio visual. This one right here, AV, we're about 10 out of 10 on converting clients to long-term engagements and long-term contracts around audio visual support. AV is one of those things that has to work, sometimes gets neglected. And then by the time people need help with it, they're in a lot of trouble because the executives are trying to brief the board that's in a different area and they're all in a conference room. They can't figure out how to use the audiovisual practice. They dumped a bunch of money into it 2 years ago and it's not performing. Come in, do an audio-visual assessment, very, very specific, very, very sticky, and that can transition into some great ongoing support with that client. A blend of the two, tactical and transformative, is really in the application stack. So another great boot camp that we did was around application development, testing, agile, and DevOps. And not a lot of partners necessarily go into this space, but this is probably one of our fastest growing areas in the channel for our partners and our trusted advisors and technology consultants is around application development. So a simple one is an application security scan. So we audit and we audit the code. We scan any APIs that are potentially connected to that new instance or that new application. And we test out those environments. We have a couple different tool sets that are our go-to to do that. And we help from a development standpoint. And we give feedback as far as like, hey, this low code, no code, or development project that you're running with, these all looks great. Here are some things that you're connecting to that are tied in your application that you might want to take a look at from a security standpoint. So taking a look at their application security scan is a great way to get involved in their application support. But an entry level one that every single customer, I'm going to get into this a little bit later, a great spot to start is around a database health check. And it's like, well, what do you mean database health check? Well, the database is at the root of every application as far as how it's performing, how it's querying, how it's presenting data back to the end user. We go in, have an amazing DBA team across multiple different types of databases. We can go in and do a health check. How are these applications connecting to their data? Where does the data reside? Who's responsible for it? How's it being managed? I don't care if it's a SQL database instance, MySQL, or go back Cobalt database, like all of that is on the table as far as areas where we can help. This is a great starting point. If you're looking to get into application conversations with your clients, a database health check is a great place to start. If you want to kind of go more away from that, the security scan, the database are kind of tactical. The agile assessment is an area where organizations are trying to move from waterfall development into agile. And we have coaches and we have people who can go in there and do training. And we have organizations that can go in and assess their ability to execute an agile methodology. So the agile assessment and the agile coaching workshop are fantastic ways to not necessarily out-task agile development or necessarily augment their team, but more often than not, if we can do an agile coaching workshop or an assessment, that will transition into a placement of a resource, either a Scrum Master or additional resources to go in there and help them with their agile practice. So all of these different assessments, one, help your clients understand where they are in the specific in that specific area of operations, but it also leads to the different building blocks that we have at Quest and that you have through partnership with Quest to support those things. So agile and really any of the application development are great segues to staffing and placement of resources and helping get specific talent there. The last one, as far as the capability focused and tactical and technology, is the cloud and virtualization assessments, right? Understanding where they are. One of the things that we're seeing, and we talked about this on the last boot camp, was we are seeing organizations repatriating and bringing back certain aspects of their cloud infrastructure. So we've all been helping organizations go from on-premise to hosted cloud instances, whether it's in Quest Edge Compute, whether it's in Azure, or whether it's in AWS or GCP. We've helped organizations document what they have on-premise and migrate it to those different cloud environments and support those cloud environments as a service. What we're seeing now is some clients, especially with AI, we'll get into in a minute, they're bringing some of that data and some of those assets out of the hyperscalers and into private dedicated instances, either because of cost or because of security of the data. They're not looking for it to be the internet to train on their data. They want to kind of keep that proprietary. So a cloud migration workshop is bidirectional now, right? It's moving from on-premise to cloud, but also we're seeing clients try to figure out, hey, what keys can I move out of the cloud, whether it's, long-term storage that they don't necessarily want to pay the rates, or it's specific customer data that they want to keep on-premise or close to their applications. And then one thing that's very, very tactical right now is Active Directory and multi-factor authentication in the Microsoft world. This Active Directory assessment that we do is we're probably getting hit up 5 to 10 times every week with partners and clients who are looking for help around the changes within the Microsoft security and MFA and Entra ID and all that kind of good stuff. So documenting users, who's there, how they're accessing the applications, and then providing that executive summary of here's how many people you have accessing your Microsoft suite. Here's how many people who are going to be impacted by the changes coming up in September and October on the service accounts and the multi-factor authentication that's about to be enforced by Microsoft for everybody. And here's some things you can do. So again, taking a tactical look with recommendations around how to move forward with it. A couple more examples of what we call, tactical assessments. And this is something that we are recommending and really mandating for everybody. Every single one of our managed service clients, we are putting this as a standard. And if they don't want it, that's okay. They can remove it. But a tactical assessment that we really, really believe in. If you participated in our cybersecurity session in Bootcamp, you know about our incident response and our 24/7 ability to help organizations when they're in deep trouble. Some of the ways that we've found organizations that can get themselves into trouble is one of these 7 areas of attack. Typically, again, 60 to 70% of organizations get initial compromise through email, but a lot of the other pain that happens after that initial compromise is from the rest of these 6 here. So what we built was a proactive checkup program that allows our team to work with your clients around specific security improvements and recommendations, regardless of what the underlying systems are in their email security flow or in their patching or in their endpoint protection. These are the 7 areas where people get into trouble. And so what we strongly, strongly recommend is that they take advantage of a checkup to take a look at, pop the hood, and have an engineer who is a senior engineer and focused in these different areas, provide them with recommendations and how they can improve that. So again, these are the 7 areas: email security, patching, their endpoint protection, how they're securing their endpoints and managing those, backups. Do they have an immutable copy? Do they have redundant copies? Are the backup jobs actually completing? Do they have all that worked out? And then this is the kind of the connectivity aspect of it. This MFA feature here is going to cause some challenges here for a lot of Microsoft users in September if they don't get the MFA squared away for their Microsoft tenants. So this is a big area where we strongly, highly, highly recommend people do checkups. And then where are their users going? And how are they securing their edge? So these are the 7 areas. Excellent summary. It takes about 3 days from an assessment standpoint to go in there, execute the assessment, take a look at things, and then summarize and give them an executive summary in 1 or all 7 of these areas. So from a cybersecurity standpoint, they select which ones they want. We have a defined scope of what we're going to be doing. After approval, we're going to basically get that assigned to a security person to come and take a look with them. And then again, within 3 to 7 days, we're coming back with those findings, recommendations, and documenting that at an executive level with the end user. We just put this out there, very, very plain and straightforward. It's a very, very simple consumable. If they want to do one, it's $775. We offer a 3X bundle, and we offer the full thing for $4,500. Again, we are mandating this for all of our existing clients and all of our clients under management. They can remove it if they want to, but we're strongly recommending clients do proactive checkups. It's a very, very low bar to get over as far as going through these from a cost perspective, but it leads to a lot of good opportunities and a lot of good feedback from our clients as far as like, hey, thank you for that feedback. Appreciate you watching out for that, and it's a fantastic program. So this, from an assessment standpoint, this came from, again, our incident response services. This is a proactive way to not end up in the gutter, having a bad day with a full system, malware and ransomware outbreak. So good option to help protect another layer of defense from a proactivity standpoint. And yeah, Lisa, that does mean that the 3X bundle means they can pick any three. So they can pick any three for $2,100, or if they want to do all 7 of them, it's $4,500. So, no. All right. So I went 36 minutes without saying AI. Well, no, I did say AI about 10 minutes ago. So apologies for that. But I'm pretty impressed with that duration. Because I know you guys are all probably tired about hearing about AI. What we've found, and what is probably a very, very, probably one of our most popular workshops right now, is our AI and cybersecurity engagement. This is a paid engagement. This is an assessment where we basically go in and we assess kind of what they're trying to do or what the client's expectations are around AI, right? Like AI is kind of like one of those, kind of like that cloud term, like 10, 15 years ago. Hey, we got we have a cloud first strategy. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know, but they say it. It's a fun thing to say. A lot of people kind of having that same kind of scenario right now. Hey, we're AI first and AI led. Okay, cool. What does that mean? They don't really know. So when we go in and we have a conversation with them around the fundamental capabilities of what AI means, machine learning, how they're probably already using some AI features today, how their competition and how the industry is using it, and then going through, how are folks using Copilot? How are folks securing their environment? And one of the first areas that the key challenges we like to go through with organizations is, how are they securing and managing their environment from a readiness for AI agents? So if you treat artificial intelligence like an individual person or an individual entity within their environment, how are you deciding what and where and who that agent can communicate with? Organizations that have just, launched, certain automated tools within their environment and given access to those automated tools to their users, you really need to help the same way you create policies to manage your people and where they can go, HR records, financial records, all that kind of stuff, and who has access to what files and all that kind of thing. Privileged access management, those types of things need to be addressed with AI, right? So you need to be able to figure out, where do we want Copilot to have access to? How do my different users need to be segmented in order to leverage different features of Copilot? So we go through that kind of feasibility discussion, like the fun stuff around AI, like what can be automated, but then also the security and governance. And then what we do is we document the findings, we put together an executive summary, and we kind of deliver that to the executive leadership and the folks who are sponsoring any AI initiatives within an organization around potential next steps, and really kind of help them flush out through our workshop process. This can be anywhere between a full day effort to a couple weeks of an engagement, and really is kind of how far and how deep would they like to go. Oftentimes, this is going to be part of a application development engagement or an agile kind of approach, and workshopping out how to incorporate and get things ready. Going back to the database assessment, low-hanging fruit here, again, not super sexy, but very, very low-hanging fruit, are the database environments. Is the data structured in a way that, should they choose to leverage AI, or should they choose to leverage AI agents, is that data ready to communicate with that AI agent and have that AI agent communicate back with its platform? So things like Salesforce or Workday or ServiceNow or any of the major players in the software and automation space, they're all creating agents, and clients are excited about the automation that's going to be capable from those agents, but their data has to be ready for it. So the database assessment, the AI workshop, and cybersecurity discussion. If you want to just start small, start with a database engagement. Start with them understanding, hey, is this ready? Is this ready for that agent engagement? Something a little bit closer to, I think, rings a little bit closer to home for my friends in the technology advisor and the TA and the trusted advisor community, is the technology expense management kind of world. So what we found, let's put this together a couple of years ago, and this is a very, very valuable assessment, and helps organizations understand where they are with their licensing challenges. So we've all kind of seen it, and you probably see it in your personal life. All the different subscriptions we all have, right? You got Netflix, you got Disney Plus, you got Peacock, you got Paramount. UFC on Paramount, by the way. Is it on Paramount? I think that's so. I think so. $7.7 billion. Well done, Dana White. Big deal. No more pay-per-view UFC fights. It's all on Paramount. So that should be fun. So you got your Paramount subscription because you want to see the UFC, right? So you have all these different subscriptions in your life that are, potentially, how many different ways do you need to see the movie Oppenheimer? It's on every single platform, and you're paying for it 10 different ways. Same thing happens in technology. Same thing happens in software discussions. What we're finding is anywhere between 30 to 60% of a client's spend on software is either going under leveraged or completely not used, right? So we're seeing, when we go in and we do a software licensing audit and we do a technology expense management. So everyone remembers telecom expense management. I think a lot of us still know that jujitsu move and helping clients understand their telecom. Just kind of move that to technology expense management, right? So understanding their current licensing, understanding which services are overlapping with which. A lot of it is redundant. A lot of things are covered. We don't care if it's a Microsoft only environment, GCP. You got a lot of people paying for different capabilities with things like ServiceNow or Salesforce, or thousands. There's thousands of applications. Most clients are using between 40 to 60 applications, and some even more. And I had a partner kind of come to me and say, well, Adam, like, this is kind of like the Fox, watching the hen house quest. You guys sell licensing, you guys sell subscriptions, you guys sell hardware and software, you guys sell that stuff. And that's true. We've been a VAR for 42 years, definitely do that type of work. But what we've also been for about the last 25 years is a managed services organization and an MSSP. And if you know that business model, and I think some of you on here do know that business model very well, a huge component of that and a huge cost of goods sold that goes into your business and your calculation and your P&L is the cost of your software, right? So how are you going to provide endpoint protection, manage firewall services, monitoring and alerting? All of that stuff that we do as an MSP and MSSP is powered by software and powered by our agreements with those underlying vendors to deliver those capabilities. we are very, very focused with our vendors and with our partners around making sure that the licensing that we are selling is accurately reflected in what we're being billed from that provider. So it's a great term I learned when I was a young infantry officer was always beware of old man in a job that kills men young. And that's a little brutal, but basically we've been doing this for 25 years. And if you look at the longevity of most MSPs, they usually flame out in about 3 to 5, 85% failure rate in the MSP world. I think it's right up there with falafel shops and restaurants. So it's a very, very hard business to get right. We're very, very good at understanding how software can be optimized and understanding where you can get the most out of your subscriptions. So yes, have we been a VAR and reselling licensing and software for 42 years? 100%. We've also successfully grown and managed to a national and international managed service provider and MSSP over the past 25. So when a partner comes to me and says, hey, Adam, what about that? I'm like, well, we can definitely help clients understand where they can get the most out of their software licensing, whether it's from a Microsoft relationship, a Cisco relationship, Palo Alto, whatever it is. There's a ton of different software licensing SKUs and different types of games that go on, with renewals and all that kind of stuff. We know how to do that. We know how to help. And the vendors, everyone's like, well, that's not going to make you very friendly with the vendors. No, the vendors love that because they have programs within their systems, the big OEMs and the software people about adoption. They're all about getting customers to adopt their software and invest in the processes of managing and leveraging and using it. So when we're helping organizations understand what they're spending it on, and how they can get the most out of it, that helps with long-term adoption. Now, the single point solutions, nothing against single point solutions, but single point solution folks might not be super happy about it because they got one little feature and hey, Microsoft or Cisco or Palo or any of the big vendors out there, they're buying up a lot of people and kind of consolidating licensing SKUs, right? We saw that with like Cisco and Splunk, for example. That convergence is always going to happen. You're always going to see that happening. A lot of different acquisitions are going on. You guys are all probably tired of hearing about, the Broadcom and the VMware situation and all those kind of things that are going on. But you've seen that pain. You've seen that the changes in licensing SKUs. Quest has been through that. We've been through the .com bust. We've been through the financial crisis. Most everyone on here has kind of had the fun experience of living through, a couple pandemic things and all that kind of fun stuff. So been through those iterations, and software licensing has always kind of been moving with that. We've seen those iterations and we can help. So I'll get off my soapbox preaching about that right now, but this is typically starts out a 60 to 90 minute session, where we typically start the conversation and go into further auditing and dropping in some tools to provide a good snapshot of what they have in place today, and what they potentially like to use in the future. So awesome, valuable insight for your clients to understand where they are, and where they'd like to go long term. So closing it out here, the reasons you should be doing this, the reasons you should be engaging Quest for assessments. Again, we all want to retain our clients. We all want to stay relevant. We all want to stay helpful. And assessments can help you diversify areas where you're helping your customers, right? So you can be that one stop, that one call. Hey, I have this kind of a challenge. Do you have someone who can help me with that? I'm trying to understand where I am in my licensing. I'm trying to understand where I am in my cybersecurity. I'm trying to understand where I am in my application development. I got a business continuity requirement from a regulator. I'm kind of blind on what my backup looks like. Quest can help from an assessment standpoint. If you take anything away from this today, and you go back and you look at our building blocks, typically any of our building blocks are what come out of an assessment, or we can provide an assessment to let you know which angle to take or how to build the next step there. So fantastic cross-selling opportunities, moving into adjacent services. And I know all of our clients sometimes were, get that dirty word of sales rep or whatever, and hey, you're in sales. No, we really want to build credibility and work with the client to understand what their struggles are and what they're looking to do long term. Assessments are a great way to prove that out, right? So building that trust. Hey, we're asking questions. We're trying to understand where you are. We don't have a predefined outcome. Something that I really pride our team on and our company on is we're not going into this environment with a predefined solution. We don't know which way this can go. Right? We're going to go in there. We're going to understand the environment. We're going to assess what they're dealing with. We're going to assess their priorities and then make recommendations based on what their priorities are, what their budget is, and the tools that we have available. And for us, a long-term strategy, that's the best way to go. A lot of people like to sell silver bullets. We don't believe in silver bullets. They don't exist. And you flame out when your clients realize that that's not a long-term strategy. So fantastic reasons as far as getting involved. Would love to work with all of you on the assessments. And so, just again, to take it home, providing clarity as far as where they are. It's a fantastic way to expand your existing relationships, land and expand your revenue, and stay connected. Every single one of our clients is transitioning from growth to even keel, to overconfident, into pain at any given time. And assessments are a fantastic way to stay engaged and help them, when they potentially get into trouble or when they just need some help addressing where they're at. So, Paul, I don't know if we had any questions that came up while I was, doing the weave and meandering there, but.
Yeah, no, we got so many questions. I got to scroll. So we got a lot. So let's get to it because I know we have limited time. Adam, Jim was wondering, would like to understand the $4,500 cyber bundle. What size business is this designed for?
So most of our clients fall into that 200 to 2,000 user environment, typically. So typically middle market clients, but it applies to all of them. If they want us to come in and look at 20 or 10,000 different command line rules within a firewall instance, that's not what we're doing. Right. So there's a couple of things to scope out there as far as the size of an environment, but for the most part, it's across the board middle market type folks.
Great. I don't know if you answered this, you might have, but Lisa was wondering, so you audit all licensing. Who else competes in this space?
I'm sorry, just following to Jim. I saw him answer that. Yeah, no, we could definitely scale it up to a larger business. It's just a little bit more time and money. So we could definitely take a look at that, Jim. Sorry, who competes with what business, Paul?
Oh, no worries. Lisa was wondering, so you audit all licensing. Who else competes in this space? Thanks for giving me it. Adam, I don't think I read it well the first time, so thanks for giving me another opportunity.
Well, so from a competition standpoint, I think there are a couple expense management platforms out there. We've seen some, the new marketing term for it is technology expense management. So probably some competitors out there in that space. Most of them are software as a service subscription providers. But I think, I wouldn't have any names off the top of my head that would be real competitors in that space for us, at least that we've run across.
Okay. And Lisa was also wondering, can you guys recommend the best AI product?
I guess the one that addresses the business problem that the client's working on. So I mean that's a tough one, right? It's usually pretty pretty specific to what clients are trying to work on. A lot of people are getting Copilot because it's part of their Microsoft stack. A lot of people are investing in Google and their platform just because it's part of their workforce already. ChatGPT and Gronk, and there's a ton of them. It's what do you want to, it's how do you want to build it in your environment? None of them are necessarily off the shelf ready to go.
We had a great question. Does Quest have marketing materials, email scripts that could be used to help engage clients on assessments? And then Darcy brought up a great question, or a great suggestion. If you would like a go-to-market playbook, if you could raise your hand in the chat, that would be great. So we know that's something that you're looking for. So if you'd like a go-to-market playbook on assessments to help client engagement, just go ahead and raise your hand in the chat. That would be awesome for us to know.
Awesome.
And if we didn't get to your question, we'll be sure to reach out to you after this. But up now, Darcy, if you'd like to jump on, we have a gift card to give away.
Hey there. Also, I wanted to add to your comment, Paul. We do have some templates and scripts for the cybersecurity checkup program. Currently, it's tucked in with our cyber defense suite go-to-market playbook. So we'll look at including that information in the follow-up email. But if we have a lot of interest, and I'm seeing a lot of hands raised, that's fantastic. We will put it on our priority list to work on a go-to playbook specifically addressing assessments and workshops. So just wanted to let everyone know that. And pulling our winner for today, give me 2 seconds. Stephanie Watson is our winner today for the gift card. So Stephanie, we have your email on file. If it's a different email that you want us to send the digital gift card to, just please let us know here in the chat, and we'll be sure to adjust that. So we'll be sending that out a little bit later today.
Right on. Congrats, Stephanie. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we'll be sending out the content as well as the presentation. It'll be coming out from the team here, and then these QR codes, these links here will also take you directly to some of the turnkey playbooks. And then this was the last iteration of our 6 boot camps that we did this quarter. We do have some security training coming up. We're going to be doing not a live, but we're going to be doing a up-to-date forum on current and active security threats with our Chief Information Security Officer, our CIO, Mike Dillon, and myself. So you'll be getting some information on that in your inbox shortly from the Quest partner team. Those should be great sessions. Really looking forward to those. That's going to be real-time market intelligence around security threats and things that we're seeing in the market. So that'll be coming up shortly. And again, thank you everyone for your time today. Hope you have a great rest of your day.